I'm a person who doesn't feel like I can't admit when I've made a mistake or whatever. And I don't think I made 100% mistake, but I do want to admit that in my live coverage of the speeches last night, I feel like I sort of got one of the speeches wrong through like an unavoidable technical issue. And I'll explain how, but first I want to give you some highlights from that speech. Here it is.
We have a chance to elect a president who is for the middle class because she is from the middle class. She understands the urgency of rent checks and groceries and prescriptions because we know that Donald Trump would sell this country for $1 if it meant lining his own pockets and greasing the palms of his Wall Street friends. And I, for one, am tired of hearing about how a two-bit union buster thinks of himself as more of a patriot than the woman who fights every single day to lift working people out from under the boots that breathe, trampling on our way of life. The truth is, Don, you cannot love this country if you only fight for the wealthy and big business. To love this country is to fight for its people. Ever since I got elected, Republicans have attacked me by saying that I should go back to bartending. But let me tell you, I'm happy to any day of the week because there is nothing wrong with working for a living.
Oh, so just a few of the highlights. 7 minutes long. Definitely go watch it if you didn't see it. So look, I wasn't critical of the speech on our live coverage last night, but I think I described it as fine. Yeah, it was fine. It wasn't super substantive. And I was on social media later and I was seeing a lot of reactions of people being like, this is her Obama 04 moment, which I think might still be a little bit over the top. But I realized that I referenced the technical things. So the way that our system works, it does like automatic like leveling where you can't hear the applause.
Oh, I see. Right.
So, and we experience that even just listening to it right now. And so I went back and I listened to the entire speech and I realized for this sort of speech, which is not like a rundown of policies or anything like that, it is kind of a vibe speech. So when you can't hear the vibe, it kind of is hard to evaluate in an accurate way. And the energy in the audience is pretty clear. And if you listen to the full thing, I didn't even hear at the beginning that there was an AOC chant.
A storm is tearing up the digital media industry. Only our audience can save us in these difficult times. Help us reach our goal of 100,000 new members at tyt.com/team.
Oh, really?
And it broke out. And I want everyone at home to bear in mind, you might think, oh, well, yeah, they're chanting AOC. She's popular, whatever. Those delegates, all good people, they're chosen by Biden. They're generally, for Democrats, probably a little bit more conservative. Like they're Biden delegates. They gave a 2-minute standing ovation to Hillary Clinton. They are not necessarily predisposed to be like, the squad, you know?
Right, sure.
And yet they really, really liked her. And when you hear the speech in full and you could hear the actual applause, I get what she was going for and what she achieved in that a bit more. So I feel like I was a bit, like I basically described it as mid, and I don't think that was super fair. Now, again, I prefer a more substantive speech, but I also love the Obama 04 speech.
Yeah.
And so for some people watching her, they probably did get that vibe. I remember watching the 04 convention live and being like, dear God, I get politics now.
Who is this?
Yeah, I'm not gonna begrudge anyone that feels that way. So I just wanted to amend my commentary from the previous night.
Well, and I think she also comes into that moment with so much popularity already and understanding how to use social media to get her message across and engage people. So she already had that. I think that it was a strong speech, and I agree with you that Obama's speech stands, I think, head and shoulders above. So it's funny, there are reporters in Chicago who will tell you that they had heard that we are not the blue states of America, we are not the red states of America. They'd heard it in church basements, they'd heard it at coffee meetings and things like that for months. And so it was kind of funny to them.
Of him like workshopping it, yeah.
Well, just doing it as his organizing speech, as his running for first state senator and then for federal office. So they had heard it over and over again.
Yeah.
So
yeah, and
so he got that speech. Like he knew the peaks and valleys of that, when people would respond to it. She's giving this speech with all of the energy of people knowing who she is, admiring who she is. And by the way, she's right. It is honest work to be a bartender. I loved being a bartender, but it is hard work.
Yeah, it was hard. I bartended in college for a couple of years, and I've worked every food service job there is. And I love that she pointed that out, because like the point they're making is, you shouldn't be one of us cool, awesome elites.
Right.
You go back and do peasant work. That's what they're saying, because they don't respect it.
Yeah.
And so
you
I'm
don't
glad
belong
that she
with
pointed
us.
that out.
Yeah.
And when I say that it's not substantive, that's not even the right term. I mean, it's not policy focused.
Right.
Although it did reference some policies. I'm just saying it wasn't the same as like Fain or Raskin or whatever. But what she's addressing is important, I think. And she talked about her personal experience, and so I do like that. When you click the join button and become a tier 2 member, you get access to all of our weekly top 10 lists. What are you waiting for?